like, you're right, I'm just bummed because I thought I would do better on that, and I pointed at the 150, and all of a sudden, Mark just unglues on me. He says, you know what, Matt, go yourself, you're a sucker, you, your YouTube channel, get your shit off, get out. Alright, YouTube, what up? This is not exactly the update for the conclusion of the trip that I was trying to bring you guys. I want to start out by saying a huge thank you to Conquer Construction and Drilling. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to everyone who put in all the effort, the hard work, the money, everything it took to make this trip possible. I really could not be any more appreciative of all the work that went into this and them reaching out to me to do this race. I was really excited about it. This video is absolutely in no way me trying to talk bad about Mark, the man involved, or Conquer, anything like that. This really actually has nothing to do with Conquer. The man who I had an issue with is not even actually a part of Conquer. Conquer was just helping fund us, so again, thank you to Conquer. I really didn't ever end up having to plan on telling this story. I figured we would just be able to finish out the race day and everything would be alright, but I feel like all you guys that wanted to see me out there and all y'all that follow along, I owe it to you guys to explain why I wasn't able to finish out the race day. I was doing my best in my videos out here to stay positive because, you know, there was a lot going into this trip, and I owed it to myself and everybody involved to try to make it work and stay positive. And there's always two sides to every story. I'm fully aware of that, and yeah, this is mine. I'm far from perfect, but this is what happened from my point of view. So to start out, there were a few incidents within the first day or two of the trip that kind of made me uncomfortable while I was down here. We were booking a hotel, and Mark, and I'm saying the name Mark. I'm not saying his last name. I haven't had him on camera or anything, so I'm not trying to make you guys hate this guy because you guys don't even know who he is. So I'm just using the name Mark. But we're booking a hotel, and Mark just absolutely unglues on the hotel staff, freaking out, like yelling at him, screaming at him, telling them they're cuckoo and stupid, and I'm just sitting right there with my head in my hands. So that was like the second day, and then the next day, he comes back from breakfast at IHOP and is bragging to me that he threw his food across the restaurant because it was shit. So at this point, I'm not really sure what to do or think. Like, I'm kind of just walking on eggshells. I'd done a race with Mark before last year at Sleepy Hollow, and it was definitely not like this. I mean, it was only a day that I spent with him, but it was nothing like this. So I had absolutely no way to expect this, and I was pretty shook, to be honest with you guys, because I was expecting something a lot different. And at first, I also didn't have my own car, so I was kind of stuck between the hotel room and riding around with Mark, and it was a tough dynamic. Like, I felt like I was a little kid again, just kind of stuck and running around with Dad, and it's really an uneasy feeling at the beginning of the trip. And I don't need to say his son's name or anything like that, but Mark and his son used to go racing, and him and his son, I guess, don't get along anymore. These were his words, not mine. He said that, small bike adjustment discussion would turn into a fist fight with his son. So I just figured this was some normal father-son turmoil, and that I think, he missed doing the racing with his son and had the resources and saw me on YouTube racing with Deegan and wanted to do something with me, and I was thrilled on it. I was so appreciative of everything he'd done for me, and we've been in contact since Budds Creek the last year, and I thought everything was going pretty well up until this trip. So unfortunately, when we got here, we had to watch it rain for a couple of days. The first 2 days we were here, and finally Saturday of 2 weeks ago, we finally got to ride at Paris, and I'd been sitting around in the hotel room for 3 days dying to ride. I got to the track, I was just excited, I started helping unload the trailer so we could, get on with our day, and I asked him what needed to be done to the 250 so I could ride it, and he told me set the levers, set the sag, and put gas in it. So I put gas in it for us, set the levers, and then we set the sag, and I went off, rode my first session, and came back and put the bike on the stand, and just noticed that there was a pinch bolt missing. And like, I, of all people, know that shit happens. Like, I was not freaking out. Like, I didn't even say anything other than, like, oh crap, like, there's a pinch bolt missing. Like, I just pointed it out. And Mark kind of, like, freaks out on me about how I got to the track and rushed him, and how he wanted time to go over the entire bike whenever we got there, and how I was going to get myself hurt if I was running around rushing him and this and that. And like, we had been in California for 4 days already, so that was my first session of riding. I was already like a little bit like, like not sure what to think about this, getting yelled at for something I didn't do, but all right, like whatever, I'll keep on keeping on. So the first day we rode at Paris, the 150 was great, and the 250 was pretty far off. The suspension was way too stiff, and the jetting was really rich. It was running really choked up, and I would try to just say that I thought it was rich and not running very clean, and I would kind of get argued with, and Mark would say that the bike sounded perfect, so that it was just a little bit frustrating. But again, like, I was so stoked to do this trip and just to have the opportunity to be out here. Like, I can deal with a little bit of stuff like that. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's nothing for me to like get mad about or complain about. But at this point, where I'm at, I kind of have to mention this kind of stuff. At the end of the first day of Paris, before I came on this trip, I'd been pretty sick for like a week and a half, and I've been coming off antibiotics. And towards the end of the day at Paris, I've been pretty sick. My stomach was tearing me up, and I'd been back and forth to the Porta-John and then riding, and to the Porta-John and riding. And Mark was well aware that I was really not feeling good, and he was kind of just like laughing it off, like just laughing at me, which is like whatever, like it is what it is. But practice ended at 2 at Paris, so I come off the track at 2, and 4 o'clock rolls around, 2 hours after the track's closed and an hour and a half after everybody else is gone, and we're still at Paris. Like, did nothing to the bikes, did nothing at all, like we're just still at Paris. And we get in the truck to finally leave, and I'm dying to go back to the hotel because I'm feeling sick and need to sit on the toilet for a while. And we finally get in the truck, and we're just sitting there, and Mark says he needs to make a call. And I asked him if we can make the call from the road, just so, like, you know, we could get back. Like, and Mark loses it on me again, and says, I just need to learn how to be patient, and if I don't learn how to be patient with him, that it's gonna set him off. And I just, again, this is the first day of going riding with him, and at this point, I've been incredibly patient. Like, I was sitting in a hotel for 4 days, didn't ride, like, didn't complain about anything, like, really wasn't very happy with the bike and didn't say a whole lot about that either. And then the second I say anything, I get snapped at about to be patient, that I'm going to set him off. So, just another tick in the box of making me uneasy on the trip. And again, this is day 1, so we had a long way to go at this point, and I actually told my lovely girlfriend, who's behind the camera, after that day that I didn't think I'd be able to finish this trip off like this. I don't know how we were supposed to operate, how we were doing it, but I decided I was going to hang in there and just do what I could to try to make it work, because there was a lot of effort involved, a lot of money involved, and I owed it to myself and everybody else, and you guys all watching, to try to make this work. So that's what I was going to do. For day 2 on the YZ, we put another head on it, and the bike was a lot better. I knew I was going to have my work cut out for me against a bunch of 300s, and KTM has a new 300, Twisted Development built some YZ 300s, so I just knew it was going to be tough with some of that horsepower that was going to be on the gate. But I really do think that if Surratt or Carson Brown rode my bike, they still would have been up front, and if I would have rode their bike, I still would have been in the back. So I really don't think that has anything to do with my result at all. I think the main problem was the dude behind the handlebars right here. Rode the next 2 days at Palo. The bike got better. We started to dial in the suspension a little bit, and I tried to put in as many motors as I could, coming off being hurt all winter and being sick right before the trip. I did all I could. Started tearing my hands up, kept riding through it, and on Monday afternoon at Paula, my hands were pretty shot, like I couldn't take it anymore. So I hit up a couple buddies to find some remedies for some blisters, and I had a plan of attack, and I was ready to go for Glen Helen on Tuesday, my first time at Glen Helen, and I had to spend like 30 minutes on the phone with Mark trying to talk him into the fact that I could ride at Glen Helen. Like, he was trying so hard to talk me out of riding on Tuesday, and this was my 4th day in a row also, but I wanted to ride, I was ready to put in the time, so we went to Glen Helen on Tuesday, fully against his wishes. The whole time he kept telling me what I was doing for my blisters wasn't going to work, and my hands were tore up after day 2. I'm not, like, beggars can't be choosers by any means, but this was a pretty simple thing. I asked for the stock grips to be changed on day 2, and they didn't get changed until Friday, practice day before the race. So just little things like that, it didn't seem like we could get anything done, and I was still so thankful to be out here. It was just, these things were happening, and I was okay with it. That's kind of where I'm at, is I felt like I was, handling it all well. I was just thrilled to be there, thrilled to be able to race, and very appreciative of what was being done for me. So I was totally willing to deal with some stuff like that. Between those days at Paula and then practice day for Glen, Helen, there's a few more small things that I wanted to do the bike. Like, just for an example, I wanted to try a different tire, and Mark told me that he had a better one and he was not going to take it off for the tire that I wanted to use. So Friday morning, my girlfriend and I, we head to the track in the rental car, and Mark emphasized heavily that I needed to be there by 8:30. And we're rolling into Glen Helen, going through the gates at 8:30, and we get a call that says he just left the hotel as we're pulling in the gates. And this is also after on Tuesday, the first day I had my rental car on Tuesday, I beat him by over an hour to Glen Helen's. Again, like, I was so appreciative of everything that was being done. Like, I was thankful to be there. Like, that stuff is not the end of the world. Like, nothing's ever going to be perfect, and I know that all too well. So it was what it was. Like, it was fine. So Friday, I did a session on each bike, the YZ and the 150. I felt pretty good on both of them, and Mark had said that he was going to need mine and Brianna's help after the practice day to try to get everything together, which was totally cool. Like, he had a lot on his hands, and we were both willing to lend a hand because he had done a lot for us on the trip, and it just makes sense that, we help out if we're able to. Like, that's kind of just how I was raised, is help when you can. So after riding, me and Brianna, we were sitting and just waiting to help, and he was kind of just talking, like, not really doing anything. And I asked him a couple times what we could do to help, and I couldn't really get any answer out of him. And the third time I asked him, I said, like, hey man, what can we do to help get this process started for you? I don't want it to drag out all day, like, because he had a lot on his hands, and, we were there to help him make it quicker. Like, it's pretty cut and dry. And Mark kind of loses it on me again, tells me he's been working his arse off, and he isn't dragging anything out, and we're just sitting around. He just tells us to get in our car and off, like, just tells us to leave, even though we were just sitting around trying to help him. And I tell him, like, hey, we're just trying to help, and he's like, all right, well, just give me a few minutes and then you can help. And then, like, 30 seconds later, he's like, you know what, never mind, I don't need anyone looking over my shoulder and rushing me. Like, just get out of here, get in your car and go. So that's what we did. Like, we tried to stay and help, but we went. And at this point, we only have one day left. Like, all we have left is the race day. I'm thinking we can get through this. It's almost over, and then we can part ways and live our lives, do whatever we need to do. So Saturday morning, we get there. I practiced a couple times on the YZ in the morning, and actually felt pretty good. Like, I was kind of ready to go. Then first moto, I thought I nailed my jump off the gate, but kind of got pulled a little bit. I don't know if I just didn't execute good enough or what, but was going to probably be, between 5 and 10 going into the first turn, and right out of my right corner, Moseman and T-Stu got together, and T-Stu kind of swerved to the left and almost got me wide open fifth gear going into Talladega. And it was like the gnarliest start crash I've ever seen. It was like 12, 15 people down, just bikes cartwheeling everywhere. And, the race got red flagged, and we just had to sit there on the gate for probably like an hour and just watch ambulance after ambulance after stretcher after stretcher. I mean, I've literally never seen anything like it in my life. And being all the way in California, that far away from home, just me and my girlfriend, and being that close to being caught up in something like that, hate to sound like a sissy, but it kind of messed with my head. I wasn't quite all there after that. So on the restart, kind of the same thing happened. I tried to drag race into Talladega, but went in probably 10th or 12th, and had been really struggling with arm pump. I had only ridden 3 times since December 1st, because if you guys have been following along, I've been hurt all winter. So rode 3 times since December 1st, got sick right before I came out here, and then rode for a week and raced. So honestly, not a huge shocker that I got arm pump, but got gnarly arm pump on like the second lap of the moto, and then just I couldn't do anything, couldn't use front brake, couldn't use clutch, just was not myself at all out there, just rode around like an idiot and couldn't do anything about it. And that right there is absolutely nobody's fault but my own. And I've been working hard off the bike, been doing everything I can, but without the time on the bike, it's just hard, especially the older I get. So I felt like I did everything I could going into this trip, but Mark and I both knew what we were working with. He knew I'd been hurt, he knew I'd been sick, and that we were just going to do the best we could. And Also, one of the biggest themes of this whole trip, Mark kept telling me, we don't care how you do, we don't care how you do, we just want you to have fun. So like, at this point, I'm way more competitive than he is, I'm thinking, and first moto is horrible, I'm not able to ride like myself, arms are locked, and I come off and I'm bummed. It's not even the finish that I'm bummed about. I just wish I could have ridden like myself and had fun and been able to hold on to the handlebars and use my levers. But we come off, Mark tells me what place he thinks I got, and I just said, like, yeah, like, I don't really want to talk about it. Like, I was just kind of bummed, not taking it too bad, but was bummed that I wasn't able to show my potential at all. And then, like, 30 seconds later, he comes back and asks me what I did good and what I did bad, and I told him I didn't think I did anything good, and I didn't really want to talk about it. I just kind of wanted to move on and get ready for the 150 moto, which I was a lot more excited for anyway. And Mark got mad at me, told me he doesn't know why I have to be like that, and stormed out the trailer when I just didn't want to dwell on a bad moto. I wanted to move on. I had 3 more to go, and I wanted to make those the best I could rather than focus on the absolute dog shit ride I had just done. So the 125 moto wasn't too long after that. We go to the gate on the 150. I'm sitting on the gate warming it up, and it just doesn't sound all the way cleared out. Just kind of gurgling a little bit. I'm holding it like wide open, revving it to death on the gate, trying to get it warmed up. Gate drops. I actually get a pretty good jump, but right away down the start straight, the thing's just like bum, 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 just totally sputtering, popping. Like, I don't know if it fouled the plug or if something like the piston was cracked. I don't know what was wrong, because it was popping and sputtering, and then all of a sudden it would start to run good, and then it would pop and sputter some more. So it was really, really weird. I rode like 2 laps like that and realized that it was just going to stay like that. So, I was bummed, but I'll be honest with you guys. Only the top 3 got paid in that class, and I wasn't going to beat Moseman, Marias, or Alessi. So, like, it sucked that I didn't get to race, but I didn't lose any money off of it. Like, it wasn't the end of the world. So I leaned my bike over on the fence and cheered on Moseman, who was out front, and Marias Alessi was just cheering the guys on for putting on a show and trying to enjoy it. We were at the Two-Stroke World Championship and, trying to have fun, even though circumstances weren't good. But I finished watching the race, cheered on the boys, and went back to the trailer, and Mark is already back there just completely unconcerned, asked me what happened. I told him just what the bike was doing, what I thought might be wrong, and he's like, oh, like, that's okay, we still got the YZ drive. And I'm like, yeah, like, you're right, I'm just bummed because I thought I would do better on that. And I pointed at the 150, and all of a sudden, Mark just unglues on me. He says, you know what, Matt, go yourself, you're a sucker, you, your YouTube channel, get your shit off, get out, losing his mind on me. And all I had said was that I thought I would do better on the 150 than the 250. And so I'm just like, all right, like, I can't get out of here quick enough. I start ripping my gear off and getting everything out of his trailer so I can put it in the rental car and get out of Dodge. And he's still barking at me about what he thought I had said. And I corrected him, like, yo, like I just said, I thought I would do better on the 150. Like, I don't understand what your problem is. And he says, oh, I'm sorry, like, I misunderstood, but then continues talking shit to me. He told me I drug him down there out of shape to run my YouTube channel. Whenever he was the one who approached me to do the race, he knew that I'd been hurt all winter, and he knew that I was sick right before the race, and he still said, let's do it. We don't care how you do it. Let's just go have fun, all this stuff. And now he's freaking out, telling me that, I'm a wuss and I'm out of shape, and that I just drug him down there for YouTube, and just all this crazy stuff. He told me all I did was complain the whole trip, and like, I know you guys heard every video, like, I was giving shout out to Conquer, shout out to Mark, and thanking them for everything. Every night I would try to make a point to tell him and text him thank you for all the hard work and how much I appreciated it. And he's just 180'd on me and basically told me I'm a piece of shit and I'm not allowed to ride anymore and get out. So we packed up in the rental car about as quick as we could. And even after all of this has happened, like, I'm thankful. Thank you to Conquer, thank you to Mark. Like, they did a lot to make this happen, and I hate that it didn't work out. But yeah, after getting screamed at for pretty much no reason and yelled at in my face, packed up our stuff as quick as we could in the rental car, and we got out. We were going to hang around and watch the second Open Two-Stroke Moto, but to be honest with you guys, I didn't really trust Mark to not, like, try to pull anything funny on us. So we went back to the hotel and cleaned out our hotel room, just so all of our belongings were safe and with us. And good thing we did, because come to find out, whenever we went to check out this morning, Mark had been there on Saturday after the race to check us out of the room, even though somehow we ended up staying in it for the next 2 days. But yeah, he tried to check us out of the room, and I'm sure he went up to the room. I'm glad that my instincts kicked in and we went and made sure that our belongings were safe, because the trip was already a waste and that would have really screwed us, so that wouldn't have been cool at all. But yeah, we gathered our stuff, we went back to the track and tried to just enjoy the rest of our day. We barely missed the Open Pro Moto, which sucked, but was stoked some good dudes were on the podium. Brown with the win, Surratt second, and T-Stu with the third. Those guys were gnarly. You give me any bike in the world, I wasn't going to run with those guys. And I was even talking to Carson Brown after the race, and he asked me what had happened, and I kind of gave him the lowdown, and he even said, you know, man, I hate that for you. I wish I would have known. I would have let you ride my extra bike that's in the van. And I just met Carson a few days before this, so that was a really cool gesture out of him. And yeah, just he's a really good dude, and he's gonna have a YouTube video out as well about him winning this race, so you guys should definitely go check it out, because he's a lot more badass than me, and he's a good dude. He deserves the views and the support. So thanks, Carson Brown. I appreciate you, man. And we got back to the track, and the few people that Mark had met, I had already heard from them that he was running around telling them that he fired me, which is like pretty funny. It was probably the happiest I've ever been to be fired. But yeah, just hung out and enjoyed the rest of the day. We watched Alessi Marias and Brownie do some battle on the 125s. We watched the 125 open race with Marias, Alessi, and Moseman, and just tried to enjoy the rest of our trip, tried to visit some friends, and it was really fun meeting some of you guys that watched the videos, and I was able to kind of explain the story a little bit to some of you guys, so it was fun meeting y'all. And I apologize, I wasn't really able to show you guys what the 820 was all about while I was out here. It really did not turn out how we thought it would at all, but you live and learn, I guess. We did what we could. I really got to thank everybody that's offered any support and cheered me on at all. It means a lot to me, and it was really cool to see how many people were stoked to see me out at that race. So sucks that I was not a factor at all, but got to give another huge thank you to my girlfriend for being out here. Not really sure how I would have went through this without her. She's been super supportive through everything, so thanks to her. Thanks to everybody for watching. Been in a bit of a rut with moto since December, since I hit the wall. Had to take the time off in the hospital, came back, got hurt again. So it's been a pretty rough go. It's kind of been a while since anything's really gone good for me with moto, and it's kind of got me thinking about the future a little bit and how long I want to be doing this like this seriously, and this competitive. And been dealing with some problems too. I've just been having gnarly arm pump ever since I came back, and I've kind of started having some issues where my hands have been going numb on me while I fall asleep, or even just like laying on the couch with my arm around my girlfriend, like my hands will start to go numb. So I'm not sure if that's like some carpal tunnel or something that is has something to do with the arm pump. I have a feeling it's probably related, but it's just kind of been a rough go with some problems with the body and problems with the races we've been doing, and things just haven't been going that well. So it's been a little bit of a rough go, but you guys know me. I'm not going to give up, and we're going to keep at it. We're going to bring the fun back, and we're going to do all we can to make sure we're good for 2023 outdoors. I'm really been excited about it for a while, and I'm not going to try to let all this BS ruin a great summer and a great year for us. So thanks again to everybody for watching. I appreciate it, and yeah, this was an insane trip, and that's my story.